Hey Christians, I have a question. Have you ever heard someone attack Christianity and thought, that's not what we actually believe? Well, congratulations, you've likely spotted a straw man fallacy. That's when someone distorts or weakens a view so it can be easily defeated. Before you can refute an idea, you actually have to understand the idea. Otherwise, you're not defeating the actual view, you're defeating an imitation of the view. Sounds obvious, right? But here's the problem. Understanding those who disagree with us takes work. It's easier to misrepresent those we disagree with. Christians face this fallacy all the time online. People attack a distorted view of Christianity, then pat themselves on the back like they refuted the real thing. Let me give you a few examples that have come my way. One person tweeted, "Definition of faith, pretending to know things you don't know." Another says, the primary belief of Christianity is child sacrifice. Another thinks he's representing a Christian argument when he says, everything has a creator, God is that creator, God does not have a creator. For each criticism, we should ask, what is the belief being represented? And if the belief is being misrepresented, then we have a straw man. Take the first one. Faith isn't pretending to know things you don't know. It's not a way of knowing at all. It's a way of trusting. Faith is trusting what you have good reason to believe is true. Second, the primary belief of Christianity isn't child sacrifice. Jesus, God the Son, willingly lays down his life as an adult. Calling that child sacrifice misrepresents what we believe. And finally, Christians don't argue that everything has a creator. We argue that everything that begins to exist has a creator. So the first premise is misstated to make the argument easier to defeat. Each of these challenges purports to know something about Christianity, yet each provides a textbook example of a straw man. The best way to respond to a straw man is to call it out and correct it. Say something like, that's not our view. You've presented a distorted version. What we actually believe is, then give a clear and honest explanation. That's how you move forward towards a productive conversation. By the way, Christians aren't immune to misrepresenting others. We can commit the same fallacy too. That's why we train red pen thinkers to be constantly asking questions, seeking clarity, and following the principle of charity. We want to represent other people's views as strongly and as fairly as possible. We don't want to beat up straw men. We want to challenge steel men, the strongest version of the opposing view. Because ultimately, a red pen thinker cares more about truth than winning an argument. All right, here's your homework. Can you think of a time when Christianity was misrepresented? And be honest, can you think of a time when Christians misrepresented someone else's view? Tell me about it in the comments. Class dismissed.